Hey friends, welcome back to Extraordinary Strides, where we're going to lace up, we're going to lean in and stride through the truly extraordinary. I'm Coach Christine, and today I'm joined by my absolute favorite, the one and only travel expert and running friend, Ashley from Mystical Dream Travel. Hello, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I mean, we're going to talk about big dreams and big audacious goals. And I think that this race definitely tops that list because we're going to talk about the most legendary, however, logistically challenging and awe-inspiring races in the world, the TCS New York City Marathon.
I am so excited to talk about this one. This is definitely one of the ones at the top of my list to try to get into. And we're going to break down the history of the race, the course breakdown, and the challenges that you might face, race day logistics. We got to know how you get from your house there into the start line, because that's important. The best spots for spectators and how to navigate the city, how to get into the race, because this is, as we found out, very, very difficult, and the iconic moments and must-dos for before and after this race.
I'm excited about it. I will say, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. You guys are just going to have to get used to me saying this. This was my first ultra, not because I ran more than 26.22 miles, even though you're always going to add in a little bit extra, unless if you're running the tangents perfectly, which is kind of hard to do. But because of the amount of miles that I put in before and after, I think at this point, to this day, even after running an ultra, I think that if I go into my Garmin history, this is still the most miles I have logged in one specific day. It is a lot. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware of that and aware of how to still enjoy this incredible race, because it really is amazing. Historically, though, I love, and I have watched so many documentaries about it because it's just such a fantastic race. It started September 13th, 1970. The first NYC marathon really wasn't NYC because it wasn't a five-borough tour like it is now. It was just 127 runners doing loops around Central Park. I can't even imagine that, but there is no Verrazano, no roaring crowds, just pure running grit.
That is very challenging. I don't know if I could do that many loops around Central Park. You know, the first time is great sights to see and all the hype is there, but I don't know about that. And in that year, only 55 people finished that very first race. It wasn't until 1976, the bicentennial year, that the course expanded into all five boroughs.
I do love this though, because what it does with the five-borough course, not only is it a hit, I mean, it's become again legendary. It's one of the world's most prestigious marathons. And what I love specifically about this race is that it gives you the feeling of truly a world marathon major like no other race can. And yes, I'm going to say that right here and now. No other race feels this encompassing of cultures and different dynamics within those 26 miles like this specific New York City marathon does. So I'm a little bit of a dork. You guys know that. I have a few facts that I want us to chat about. So I'm going to let you lead with a little bit of these five facts and five facts for the five boroughs, right? So what would you say is something that you find interesting on this facts list, my friend?
So I find it very interesting that inaugural race was also held on a very tight budget. The entire event cost 1,000 US dollars.
I think that's
I don't know if that exists today.
I know. I don't even know that would cover, that can't even possibly cover their safety pins that they hand out with bibs at this point, right? Like, there's nothing on their items that would be 1,000. I think that for the most part, like we would be excited if we were running for charity for New York City and we only had to raise $1,000. So it's definitely changed quite a bit. What I think is super cool is that Greet Waits of Norway won 9 New York City marathon titles between 78 and 88. She's absolutely one of the most decorated athletes in New York City marathon history. She's also gone on to win 2 London marathon titles and the Marathon World Championships in 83. She is truly one of the most decorated athletes of all time. But for all of us Disney folks and our Run Disney folks, super cool that you can get your photo with her at, well, not with her, but her bronze statue over in Norway in Epcot. Have you actually checked her out over there?
That's one thing I haven't. Now that's on my list for my next trip.
Yeah, we're going to have to make that happen. We'll have to post a photo
Absolutely.
on socials.
Absolutely. And how about the race route? So this course has changed a lot from its Central Park beginnings, clearly. But it still ends in Central Park, but it now sets out from Staten Island before traversing all five New York City boroughs. But now it boasts over 2.5 million spectators to cheer on the runners on Marathon Day. That's a lot of cheer support, but I really like that it's no longer that loop and you get a little tour of the city because it is a very beautiful city.
It absolutely is. The boroughs all have such different flavor and vibes. It's just so exciting to see all that aspects of it. And of course the bridges, but we'll talk about those as well. I think it's pretty cool that in Brooklyn, no sleep till Brooklyn, of course, the marching band from Bishop Laughlin High School plays the Rocky theme song, Gonna Fly Now, all day long, the entire time, like just on repeat to motivate the runners. They continue until every single runner has passed through. That's incredible. That's dedication for sure.
And I totally get down to that because, I mean, most of us know there's a lot of musicians that end up in the running world, and we like to do the cadence to the beat. So I love
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So if it's okay, I'm going to steal the thunder with our final fact before we move on to discuss the course and a bit more about the specific race that people want to know. And it is that the founder, and I'm going to give lots of kudos, and there is some really great documentaries on him. The founder of the New York City Marathon was from Pennsylvania, Fred Lebow. Fled from Romania with his Jewish family after surviving the Nazi occupation of the country. Lebow spent time in Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, and Ireland before finally settling into the United States. And now you can get a photo with the statue of Fred, or you can run one of the races named after him, but found in Central Park. What I also love about Fred and the New York Road Runners is that they are very inclusive. Like from the very beginning of the race, they want to be more inclusive, representative of what New York City feels like, different cultures and heritages all coming together for one common goal. So I'm going to quit fangirling now so we can go into some of the course records, Ashley. Would you try to PR New York?
Oh, see, I don't know that I could because I'd be so soaked up in all the different boroughs and just the city skyline. I think it's one of my most favorite skylines out there.
I mean, absolutely. And I want to talk about that too. I know we're going to talk a little bit about, okay, let's talk about it now. I definitely want to talk about the PRs of the course, but I want to ask you, as you're talking about the skyline, one of the things that I think makes this race so interesting is the fact that it's got multiple ways to get to the start. And one of the ways is the ferry, where you could actually go see the skyline as you're on your way to the start. Is that something that calls to you, or do you think that you would rather make it much easier and just go straight through with one of the Midtown buses?
See, I'd probably do the ferry. It's a unique way to get to this start line. So
I am team ferry all the way, my friend. It is. I know that logistically people get a little freaked out because with the ferry, you have to choose a specific time. You also still have to ride buses when you get to the other side. You have to jump on a bus as well. So it can feel like you're basically using plane, trains, and automobiles just to get to your start line. I think that feels very New York though. So I love it. So before we get into the course, I'm going to get into a little bit of some of the course records, which is men's course record is Jeffrey Mutai, 2:05:06 in 2011. We're not going to hear blazing fast times like some of the other courses, but these are still very, very fast times. Women's course record, Margaret Okoye from 2:22:31 is her finish time at 2003. We have the men's wheelchair record, Marcel Hug. We've heard him before. He's the GOAT. He's 1:29:22 is his finish time in 2022. And then the wheelchair record held by Tatiana McFadden in 2015 at 1:43:04. So while it's not a PR race, it still proves that these elites are, they're trained and ready for business.
Yeah, and I love how long it's been since we've seen some. So maybe we'll see some in the coming years.
Yeah. I hope that the elites take like 2 extra seconds. I know they've got prize money and they have sponsorship deals, but I hope that they still take like 2 extra seconds to kind of look around and soak it all in there because it is such an incredible race. So let's get right to it. Tell me all about the course, my friend. Let's talk about that mile by mile breakdown. How about you kick it off with Staten Island?
Absolutely. So the race does start in Staten Island. One of the most dramatic starts in marathoning. There's helicopters overhead, the anthem playing, and of course, a sea of runners all ready to take on the race. Now, this is definitely something that I think gets into people's heads. There is a huge uphill start followed by a downhill into Brooklyn. Now, this is definitely something you want to keep in mind. Your adrenaline will be sky high, but don't want to burn out on that first uphill just because you know you have that downhill. So take it all in, take that deep breath, and let's go to Staten Island.
So the Verrazano was the reason why I signed up for New York City. Like I saw an image of a bunch of runners running over Verrazano. It was an aerial image. And I was like, I have to have that in my life. This has been a common theme for me. It's also why I did Ragnar's in the Florida Keys. I love bridges and just that imagery is so beautiful. I will say that one of the big things that we approach with coming into New York City is, are you actually going to be able to run on the top side of the Verrazano? Or if you're going to run underneath where the cars generally go, there's another set of cars that go through. It is still a fantastic experience, regardless of whatever you're ended up at, because that will be chosen for you. If it's a huge deal and you absolutely want to run on top side of the Verrazano Bridge, you can drop back a wave to do so. So that is something to take into consideration. I do want to debunk a little bit of a myth that we have heard, where that if you run on the bottom side of Verrazano, that you're going to have urine on you, because some of the guys decide to use the potty on the bridge top side. That is, we know that for a fact that it's not going to seep through by any stretch of imagination. So that is not a concern.
Now I'm curious, which side did you run on?
I pulled back a wave so that I could run topside. It was very important for me. I mean, again, I signed up just because I had seen this aerial image. So I definitely wanted to run topside. I was starting a little bit ahead of the girls that I had trained with. So I dropped back so we could all run together, at least through the first half of the race. So it was all the way around. There was multiple reasons for me to pull back. And I feel like it made it like solidified such an incredible experience for me.
Absolutely. And there's no bad view or time for the New York Marathon. And that takes us to the next step. So miles 13. We're jumping right to the half marathon point. Miles 3 through 13 is the most electric part of the race. 4th Avenue and Bedford Avenue are packed with spectators. And then you get to hit the Park Slope, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, each neighborhood bringing a unique energy to that race. That's where you enter the lovely Brooklyn, New York area.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the most incredible part of the race. I think I must have high-fived 482,000 kiddos that were cheering during that entire 10-mile range. So that is, again, one of those things where you may not even notice how much energy you're expending. You may even forget to fuel. So be very mindful of those aspects, because once you go into Queens and the Queensborough Bridge, you're getting into a sticky part of the marathon anyway, right? Like once we get past that half, you get a little sticky. Then you're actually going to go into the bridge, the Queensborough Bridge. And it's quiet there. It's like the antithesis of all of the energy that you just heard. So you have to really prepare yourself to have that mental fortitude to dig a little deeper, knowing that you're going to be rewarded for going through that bridge on the other side. So what can we expect on the other side?
It's Manhattan's First Avenue. That is where we are headed. So as soon as you leave that bridge, there are crowds again. So they are just on the other side. You just got to get over that little bit of a hump of quietness. But this stretch is flat and straight, but make sure you don't go too fast. that is something that will definitely get runners as they come back into those crowds again. But they want to hit the ground running with all of that energy, but make sure you aren't draining your energy because we still have some miles to go. And up next is the Bronx. I think this is such a classic area of New York. So we do a quick loop through the boogie down Bronx. The Madison Avenue Bridge takes you back into Manhattan towards that last couple of miles.
I'm glad that we're calling out that the Bronx is such a quick little like visit. Like it is, you're only there for like a mile and a half. Still iconic, still fantastic. The neighborhood still comes out to really support, but absolutely feels like it's over in a flash before you're already coming back into Manhattan with Harlem and Central Park. Now, this is where, again, we have another point in this race where it may feel a little tougher because the last 4 miles are rolling hills. So you need to keep that in mind. Fifth Avenue is a long incline, which can feel brutal at this stage. We know that the Verrazano is the highest peak of this entire elevation course, but it feels, because it's so early on, you don't even feel those. These, my friends, you tend to feel a little bit more. So it's very important to definitely have those hill repeats and learn how to incorporate training on those fatigue legs, because as you turn into Central Park, your legs may be barking at you a little bit, but the crowd is still there supporting you, ready for you to take home your big shiny medal. Are you more excited about your medal or the superhero cape that they give away at the end for individuals?
Definitely the cape.
What are you doing with your cape? Are you going to keep it as a cape?
Oh,
Like, are you going to, like, people are repurposing it now, like as vests and so on?
yeah, I haven't thought that through. That's somebody had actually taken, I had seen they made like a jacket out of one of them. I thought that was such a cool idea.
I love that idea. Because honestly, the cape that I have from New York City is something I will never part with, but I also never use it. It's like I want to use it for a throwaway layer. So I think that we should look into how to get that repurposed. Okay, we've already touched on the fact that this race feels daunting to a lot of individuals because of logistics. So let's get into those logistics, Ashley. What should we think about in terms of that race morning logistical puzzle? I think that most people will probably, if you get easily overwhelmed, I think that the official race buses from Midtown are definitely something you should consider. While I will always be Team Ferry, if you feel like you want streamlined, those race buses are definitely the best way to be streamlined.
Absolutely, because we don't want to recommend private drop-offs. Mm-hmm. If anybody has ever visited New York City, even on a normal day, it is chaos city. I, for one, will vouch. I visited when I was younger, and if you don't walk when that crosswalk sign says walk, you are getting run over as a pedestrian.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely don't want to add any more stress in your morning by trying to get to that start line by driving.
You've already seen, because we've traveled together, and you've seen that I tend to walk, I call it a little bit of a New York hustle. I walk a little bit faster, and I can tend to usually use my phone at the same time. I'll only trip a few times when I do that. I don't dare to do that in New York City. Like, you got to be aware of your surroundings there. So when it comes to where to stay at New York City, I think it really comes down to personal preference, but I will always recommend for New York City, if you are really panicking about that start, is maybe even considering a split arrangement where you stay at Staten Island the night before the race and have your people who love you dearly pack up while you're running this race and maybe meet you somewhere in the city close to the finish line, or go ahead and make your reservations to stay in Manhattan. I would not necessarily suggest a lot of the other boroughs. I know people love Brooklyn, or they may love even to keep costs low and go across the tunnel and stay in New Jersey, but those can actually add a lot of additional stress and maybe even additional expenses that you don't take into consideration.
Absolutely. And again, it's the city that is always moving and grooving. So don't want to add on any extra stress on the morning of. Now, we did already talk about how to get to the race. Let's go back after the race. So when you are leaving, after you get that shiny new medal, take all of your pictures, you can either do the subway, which is your best bet, follow the crowds down into the tunnels, a taxi or an Uber, but expect some crazy surge pricing because, as we know, they can get expensive the more people that try to get rides. Or you can just walk. If you're very close to that finish line, what's better than shaking out your legs with a little walk after you've done all of the hard work to just keep those legs moving and grooving?
So something that I heard early on when I was researching New York City in a podcast and, like BC times, because it was such a long time ago, was to utilize the New York Sports Club, buy a day pass, leave something in the locker the day before, possibly there. And when you're done with your finish at New York City, is go ahead and take a shower at this sports club that's closest to the finish line, change, and then just like find some place to eat locally. Because for the most part, unless if you are super close to that finish line, it's going to be super hard to move around, be it subway or taxis or Ubers. So I just did that and had dinner. And I think it was pretty late in the evening when we were done with our celebration, but still it was just the best way of like minimizing that stress of trying to get back to my hotel, knowing that the city was pretty gridlocked at that point still.
Absolutely. And there's so many people in New York City and you still have those tall buildings. You want to make sure that you always have a meeting plan for these days, especially if you have spectators coming up, because there is chances of spotty cell service. So that's not something we always need to account for it, especially going back to Chicago. That's another kind of known fact for that race.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have a plan to meet up with your people at least at the end of the race if you can't catch them during or pre-race.
Now, I think you're considering when you do get into New York City, and we're going to talk about that as well, so how to get in, how hard it is to get in and all that jazz. But you're considering having a majority of your family coming to the finish line. I think you're thinking your dad's going to come, Cole's definitely going to be there. Where are you suggesting that they set up for those spectator spots so that others can maybe follow suit?
So I think there's a couple different places that I'm kind of eyeing up. Is Brooklyn. So big crowds, lots of space, a lot of energy. That covers like miles 3 through 8. So pretty much earlier in the race. They could go like mid-race for First Avenue. And that is super exciting, but it's a little more busy, packed area. So definitely on the top of the list, but maybe a little bit further down. Or there's Central Park for that finish. I definitely love a good finish line area. That's when I start to drain and really feel the rolling hills as the back half of this marathon. So I think probably Central Park, but they need to make sure they are not using, again, the First Avenue cross. You cannot get across there during the race. You can't expect to hop all around the city easily like some of the other ones. So pick 2, maybe 3 spots. If you're willing to risk maybe one of those, kind of prioritize in 1, 2, 3. What are the most important for you as the runner? And make sure you're communicating that with your spectators so they know what to expect as well during that day, what you're expecting to see them if you want to catch them at a certain spot.
Love this. This is such really good, valuable advice. I wish that I would have had this, I don't know, a decade ago, because that was a big issue that I ran into with my spectators. So this really, really solid information here, my friends. Okay. Let's talk about how to get in, how to get this golden ticket, because it really does feel impossible. I know that you attempted through the lottery. How do you feel about it after trying the lottery?
Hey, this is my second year for the main lottery. Now, that's something that's a little unique with this race is they also, in previous years, hopefully they have it for this, is a lottery for a virtual option as well. So I have tried for both in person and the virtual options and have not secured my ticket just yet. The virtual lottery is you run it virtually on the same day as the New York City Marathon. So you have a 24-hour window to get your miles in, however long it takes you, but it has to be on that day. It does have to be logged in Strava. And then you get that golden ticket for the following year's in-person marathon, which I love. I love that they give a different option because they know that it's very, very, very tough to get in this race.
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt. So the 9-in-1 program for all of the local folks, even though I have a girlfriend who does this particular way of doing it, even though she lives here in Florida, where she'll go up and run the 9 New York road races and then volunteer so that she can get her magic lottery golden ticket. But again, as we've discussed a bazillion times, we're going to discuss it here again as well. We cannot stress this enough. If this is something you want to make happen, like any of the majors, you're going to have creativity. You're going to have patience, a little dash and sprinkle of good luck, and a whole lot of just determination to not give up, because more than ever, we're continuing to see lots of little fun ways of getting in. I think I recently saw somebody got their New York City golden ticket through like a Strava competition that they had entered. So there's different ways to just stay in the loop. You might even want to do New York City marathon, registration as a Google alert so that when things pop up, you can see that.
Yeah,
maybe New York City marathon entry.
Yeah, and definitely take a look at the New York Roadrunners pages. I know they have an awesome organization, and they're always putting out different ways to get into this race. And even they have a lot of other fun races that they have throughout the year that are, again, still breaking new barriers, and you can see a lot new things.
Yes, absolutely. So before we bring this to a close, we're going to talk about some of those legendary moments that we've already touched on a little bit. Greet Waits winning 9 times, but Meb breaking the U.S. drought and winning in 2009. And every single runner woman in the world is going to remember Shaylin Flanagan's epic win. I mean, it was actually my favorite Halloween costume that entire year of 2017, where little girls were getting dressed up as Shailene with that epic win that she had that year. So there's so much to do and see in New York City. We can't even possibly get into it all, except that this is a race that you're definitely going to want to do. And we welcome you to join us with the Stride Collective or Women of World Marathon Majors to continue getting that community support. Ashley, I'm going to ask you though, what do you think you are most excited to do in New York City before or after your marathon?
Oh, I'm having on my list to go visit the hotel for Home Alone.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I love New York City. I definitely, you have to go see the Statue of Liberty. I have done that before, and it is really a sight to see. It is no longer there, but FAO Schwartz, they used to have toy soldiers that stood outside, like human toy soldiers that stood outside, and it was such a memorable experience for me. You could say Rockefeller Center. There's so much to do in New York City. Like I'm so excited to go do it again. Because it just never gets old.
Well, with that said, friends, we want to hear from you what you're excited to see and do at New York City. And if you've gained your golden ticket to run the race, we want to cheer you on and support you on your way there. So without a shadow of a doubt, we look forward to continuing to cheer you along your journey as you race towards your stars. Until next time, keep striding toward the extraordinary.